Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-126. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Off and running, the Hunt Palmer Show here on Draft Day. First round of the NFL Draft mere hours away, and the storylines just continue to flow in really by the minute. Matt Musso in for Taylor Sharp, who was originally supposed to be in for Hunt Palmer today. Little late switcheroo, so you got me for 2 hours, and then again tomorrow to close out the week. We will be very, very draft heavy, as you might expect, but there is a pretty important baseball series happening at the box this weekend that we will absolutely dive into. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, will be with us at 2:15 in his normal slot. Luke Johnson from NOLA.com, Times-Picayune, will be here in his normal slot at 1:15. Along for the ride, Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali hanging out for the next 2 hours as we get you through the middle of draft day. And that is idea at all today. If you have any type of alert set on your phone where news comes in sports-wise, which if you don't, you should definitely have LouisianaSports.net, you've seen Jackson Dart and the New Orleans Saints be linked all morning and all afternoon. The first I saw of it was a report from Todd McShay. Todd McShay, who's now with The Ringer, has the McShay report that he puts out. And in there, he mentioned that the New Orleans Saints were, quote, high on Jackson Dart. Not something we didn't already really know. They did a lot of work with Dart. But on the morning of the draft, when that comes out, you perk up a little bit more. Unclear if it would be at 9, but it's certainly an option for the Saints later in the first round or if they move up earlier into the second round. You follow that up with a report from CBS Sports and Aditi Kinkhamwala, who on CBS Sports Network earlier today talked about Jackson Dart and said, it's definitely an option at 9. In fact, he's not getting past 9. Now, you can look at that and say, does that necessarily mean the Saints? Doesn't have to. There's other quarterback needy teams. The Browns need a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback. But both of those teams look completely locked in with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, respectively. Just look at the odds. And that was obviously the very next step. When you see those reports, you go and you look at the odds. Let me refresh my computer right now to get the latest. Jackson Dart at pick number 9 has seen his odds surge all the way up to second, plus 350. Earlier this morning, it was plus 600. It then went to plus 500. Within the last hour, plus 350. He is creeping up on Mykel Williams as the favorite to go 9th overall, and I'll make a not-so-bold prediction that by the time the first round of the draft gets underway, Jackson Dart will be the favorite to go 9th overall. So is it a lock? And should the Saints do it? Let's have that conversation. There are conflicting reports. You'll remember Adam Schefter just earlier this week said it was going to be linemen. Who is with the Saints on draft day an hour ago tweeted, quote, hearing from a few teams and agents today, O-line for Saints at 9. This is the craziness that we love about draft day. And given the conflicting reports, given the state of the Saints team, I don't really think it's hyperbolic to say this is one of the most anticipated picks at number 9 that the New Orleans Saints have ever made. Because you need so many different things, so many different positions. You haven't drafted a quarterback since 1971 in Archie Manning in the first round. I mean, we've thrown that stat out numerous times throughout this entire process and even in past drafts. And now on the morning of the draft, you see them be linked so hot and heavy to a quarterback, one that you know they've done a lot of work on, but there's still the conflicting reports. Here's what I want the New Orleans Saints to do, and it's really not that complicated or that hard. I want the Saints to go in at number 9 and be convicted and take the player that they friggin' want. That's it. Have some conviction and go make a pick. You always hear, sometimes you take best available. No, I don't care about that. Take the player you want to take. If it's best available, then take it. If that's Mason Graham, if the Jaguars select Ashton Genty at 5 and Mason Graham falls all the way to you and you want to take best available and you take Mason Graham, fine. But you better have some conviction when you do it. If you love Jackson Dart, if Kellen Moore loves Jackson Dart and that's his guy and he believes that's the franchise, then take him at 9. Be convicted about it and take him at 9. If you don't love him, you like him, he's the quarterback you like the most out of this class, and you think you can get him later, you can trade back in, then do that. But be convicted when you do it and understand that you're taking a risk. There hasn't been much conviction in the moves for the New Orleans Saints as of late. You can look at free agency and things that they've done. I mean, hell, you can look at the quarterback situation right now with Derek Carr and restructuring his deal, and now all the conflicting reports about, he wants to be traded. He didn't really want the restructure. There's nothing there. Go back to the coaching search. They wanted Aaron Glenn. They felt really convicted about that, but Aaron Glenn didn't feel convicted about coming to the New Orleans Saints, and he didn't do that. This is the one thing you can really control the most. When you look at odds and everything surrounding Jackson Dart, he will be there at 9 if you believe the odds. The draft is very unpredictable. I get that. But on draft day, when you see the Giants minus 1,400 to take Abdul Carter, it's a pretty safe bet. They're taking Abdul Carter. When you see the Browns minus 5,000 or whatever to take, Travis Hunter, 2,500. I overestimated there a little bit. It's a pretty safe bet they're taking Travis Hunter. So if Jackson Dart's your guy, take him at 9. Why put the risk in there? Would I totally agree with you taking him at 9? Probably not. Because I think if he's there, he'll be there elsewhere. You just have to work a little harder to get him. So if he's your guy and you're convicted, take him. If you want to go offensive tackle, which is a huge need, by the way, take him. That's really all I want from them. Go in, know what you're going for, and go take it. It's been way too willy-nilly around that organization for far too long now, really since Sean Payton retired. So let's say the New Orleans Saints don't take Jackson Dart at 9. Let's say, for the sake of this conversation, they go best available offensive tackle or best available player, which in most of the mocks you're seeing would be Mason Graham. What happens? Well, then you have to trade back into the first round. And look, we've already had the report earlier this week from Adam Schefter about the New Orleans Saints already, sending out calls, trying to move up from 40. And I know Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net put out his latest and final mock draft this morning, and he had the Saints trading back into the round 1 to take Jackson Dart at 32, trading with the Eagles. Looking at the odds, it doesn't look like you'll have the luxury of waiting until 32. Because that's where a whole nother layer comes into this. Where now you're seeing the Steelers at 21. Man, they've been heavily linked to Shedeur Sanders. There's reports coming out Thursday morning that they will pass on Shedeur Sanders if he's there at 21. You know they need quarterback, or they in the running for Jackson Dart. Then you get back with the Giants and the Browns. The Browns are at 33. They have the first pick of the second round. The Giants are at 34. Could one of them trade back up? And right now, as it stands, you look at Jackson Dart's Jackson Dart's draft position is currently all. There's an update coming to that. Before I walked in here to do the show, it was at 24.5, and under 24.5 was minus $1.75 and continuing to move toward a heavier favorite. The Saints are going to have to get into the 20s, most likely, I think, to draft Jackson Dart if they do not take him at 9. Who has the 20th pick? The Denver Broncos. You know there's a relationship there with Sean Payton, with Mickey Loomis. Not to say that just immediately gives you in the inside track. And for what it's worth, Adam Schefter has also reported that the Broncos are taking calls about the 20th pick. With the Steelers now being reported to pass on Shedeur Sanders, Broncos at 20 really seems like a spot where you'd have to go. Because the Steelers need a quarterback. The Giants want to trade back in. They need a quarterback. And Brian Daboll reports there as well that he's high. You've seen Jackson Dart's odds climb for the Giants as well. He's still got the 4th best odds there. But if you don't take him at 9 and you try to finesse things, which again, I don't want you to do. I want you to go in there, know what you're doing, have conviction, and make the pick. But if you try to finesse things, understand you're taking a risk. And that 32 might not be the option anymore for you to trade back into the first round. It might have to be earlier and in the first round. I'll try to get you an update later throughout the show on Dart's draft position odds, where that goes. I just refreshed again, and he's still off the board. But y'all, there's a lot of anticipation for this pick tonight at 9. Probably be around 8:20, 8:30 this evening when the Saints finally go on the clock. And what happens before them will absolutely dictate, although it looks pretty set. The only thing, the question that they have left to answer is, do you love Jackson Dart? Is he your franchise? Is he your guy? And if he is, and you feel that convicted, why not just take him at 9 and eliminate all the rest of the risk? You have bigger needs. But if that's your guy, man, go take him. That's really the only thing I want to see. You have so many needs. You can't go wrong in this. Like, you could take any position, and we'd look at it and go, well, you needed that. So find the one you love the most and make that pick at 9. All right, we are going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We will continue the draft conversation. Luke Johnson from NOLA.com, Times-Picayune. He will be here in his normal spot in our next segment. We'll get his thoughts on Jackson Dart, but also a more broader perspective on the Saints draft, what it looks like in round 2, what potential trades, what happens if somebody moves back in front of the Saints. All of those things are next here on the Hunt Palmer Show when Luke Johnson joins us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, They've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Back here at the Hunt Palmer Show, it is draft day. Musso in for Hunt. New Orleans Saints. Boy, there's a lot of buzz around that number 9 pick already here this morning and into the early afternoon. We welcome on Luke Johnson, New Orleans Times Picayune, and of course NOLA.com on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson. Luke, we appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Let's just start with Jackson Dart, and I'll just go ahead and leave that really open-ended for you. Your thoughts on everything that's transpired with his odds and all the smoke this morning.
They are targeting Jackson Dart. It's going to be trading back into the first round to try to get him and not taking him at number 9. They have such a dearth of young impact at number 9. Like, they need to really get somebody who's going to make an impact on the team right now and for the next 7, 8, 9 years. So I do think that quarterback is in the cards for the Saints. I would not be surprised at all if they make 2 picks. Number 9, and I don't think it should either. I'm not sold on any of these quarterbacks, even as like a late first round pick potentially.
Okay, you said trade back there. That is normally sacrilege to Mickey Loomis and the New Orleans Saints.
No, trade back into the first round.
Okay, trade back in. That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you why trade back and not just trade back into the first round. Okay, so let's say they do. Let's say they trade back into the first round. Looking at Dart's odds, I mean, his pick position was 24.5. Do the Saints have to get into the 20s from 40 in order to take Dart, or could they do it later in the first round of the draft?
I don't think it's necessarily like they have to get into like the early mid-20s. I think the team that everybody's looking at is the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, Stafford's nearing the end of his career. You look at a player like Dart, who I think he's only 21 years old right now, or he's early 22. He's somebody who you could the Matt Stafford type. Like you can see why the Rams would be interested there. I think the team really to watch out for is Pittsburgh. They've been connected to Shedeur Sanders this whole time. But they might. It just kind of depends on their draft board. Like they might prefer Jackson Dart, and if he's gone at 21, then it kind of changes the calculus. And this is all assuming the Saints are all in on Jackson Dart and not somebody like Tyler Shuck or Shedeur Sanders or somebody like that. So there's just like a lot of different ways this can go in the back, like the late last quarter of the first round. But I think that's where they would have to go to target him because we don't think the Giants or the Browns are going to take a quarterback at 2 or 3, but they own the first 2 picks of the second round. So you'd almost have to get in front of those 2 teams to make sure that you're giving yourself a chance. And those teams might try to trade up too. Yeah. So there's going to be some competition there for it, I'm sure, which is going to drive the price up.
Talking with Luke Johnson. He's on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson. Luke, in your time covering the team, where would you place the anticipation for this pick at number 9, given all the needs for the Saints and, again, all the smoke this morning and into the afternoon? Where would this one rank for you in your time covering the team?
Probably, if it's not first, it's like a tie for first. I remember the Chris Olave pick. That was, I think, number 11 in the 2022 draft. And I think a lot of people anticipated it to be Chris Olave, but that was like the highest pick they'd had in a long time. And they were still, they were coming off of a down year in 21, but they were still only 1 year removed from like this excellent 4-year run. And you could still see like kind of the bones of the team. So like that one was exciting. And I'd put this one right there with it. It's definitely a lot more exciting than a lot of these back end of the first round type picks. This one, I think one of the reasons that makes it really exciting is because they could go any direction with this.
Yeah. So
they could corner. They could go literally any direction. I think that's why we're seeing like all these mock drafts just kind of all over the place.
So if it's not quarterback or Jackson Dart at number 9, what do you think the Saints do at 9?
Well, what I think they'll do is I have no idea. Just because of what I just said. What I would do if I were them, obviously depending on who's on the board, but like I love Tyler Warren. There's a certain level of safeness with him that I don't think you're going to get out of somebody like Michael Walker or the 3rd or 4th tackle taken in this draft. I think he's going to be a plug and play immediate contributor, not like Brock Bowers level last year, but really, really good player and a 3-down player and somebody you can trust to play wide tight end, or you can move into the slot, or you can put him out wide, or you can put him he played wildcat quarterback at Penn State. And I think with somebody as creative as Kellen Moore calling the offensive plays, I think that's really, really exciting as a possibility. And he's one of kind of 4 guys who, if he's there, I'd be sprinting to the podium. And it's him, it's Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. It's Ashton Genty, who I really don't think is going to be there, and Jalen Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. I think those 4 guys all have a possibility of being there. They're not all going to be there. Maybe only one of them will be there. But I think one of those 4 guys will be there, and I would be very excited about any of them. I'm less excited, if Will Campbell or Armand Membu slides, like I'd be okay with that. But I'm less excited about Kelvin Banks or the 2 Josh tackles, Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly. I'm not as into them as others are. And I'm really looking for somebody who I know is going to be an impact player in the NFL for a better part of the next decade.
Great segue, because tackle is where I was going next. Obviously, with Mickey Loomis announcing on Wednesday that the Saints are not picking up Trevor Penning's 5th-year option, we all knew that tackle was a position of need. How much greater of a position of need is it now in this draft, given that news?
I don't think it's necessarily much higher on their need scale. I don't think there was ever any chance that we're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Trevor Penning. Even if they like the idea of him starting, he's only played at a decent level 1 out of his 3 NFL seasons, and you don't commit $16 million in 2026 to that kind of player. But I don't think that rules him out from being their starting right tackle next year. Now, if they draft somebody, obviously that equation changes a little bit, and tonight, but I think that them not picking up the 5th-year option is not necessarily a sign that they're ready to move on from him. I think they want to see consistent year in, year out play from him before they're like committing actual money to. The 16th highest paid right tackle in the NFL makes like $10 million a year, which is significantly less than what that 5th-year option would cost them. So, if he at right tackle, they could still probably get him for less than what they would be paying for on that 5th-year option. So that's the way I view it. But there's they could draft Membu tonight and say, well, Trevor Penning, you're going to be our left guard, or you're going to be our swing tackle. There's a lot of different ways this can go.
Luke Johnson, the New Orleans Advocate, NOLA.com. Of course, you can find him on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson. Luke, we've mentioned it here so far in our chat, but one of the narratives around the Saints in this draft is, you have so many needs, you can't go wrong. So with so many needs, where do the Saints find value in this draft when you look kind of over the course of 3 days?
Well, as of right now, as we're currently talking, they have 3 day 2 picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have 4 top 100 picks in this draft. And this is a draft, you talk to anybody in the league, and they will tell you that there's not like a lot of top end talent in this draft, but it really it flattens out and it kind of stays there for a while. You can get really good players in the 2nd, 3rd round of this draft, guys who can be starting level players for you. Maybe not a bunch of star power, but really good players. And I think that's where they're going to make their hay if they don't trade 2 of those picks to move up into the 1st round, which, I feel like is going to happen. The Derek Carr thing was really, really damaging for him because now it almost feels like their hands forced if they want to address quarterback this year. Like if it were me, I would be starting Spencer Rattler this year, seeing what he has. And if he's no good, that's fine. I think you're going to have a top 5 pick next year and a better quarterback class. I just don't think that's the way the Saints are going to go. And it might turn out well for him. But it's also, I think with this quarterback class, it's a lot of risk involved. So they could use those 2 third-rounders and 2nd rounder to get starting level players, give them that youth injection they desperately need. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to use those assets to move back up.
Last one for you here, Luke. Again, kind of a more broader perspective. Is there one position that you view on the Saints team that maybe not enough of us are talking about that you view as a bigger need than others might?
Well, others might feel this way, but they need a starting corner out of this draft. They've got essentially 2 guys on their roster who they know they can count on to play like starting caliber reps. I really like Adam as a depth piece. I don't want to go into the season counting on him as my number 3, especially because as we've seen over and over and over again with these Saints teams that have deep secondaries going into the season. Injuries happen. They had an awesome secondary a couple of years ago, and they had to sign Chris Harris off the street to play corner for him. So they need to be deeper there. And I don't know if that's I don't think that's something I would do at 9. I don't know if there's anybody I like enough at 9. I like Jahdae Barron, but not at 9.
Yeah.
I like Will Johnson, but not at 9. But I do think that there's decent players in the 2nd, 3rd round that can be had that could give them an immediate starting caliber player there.
NFL draft, it gets underway tonight. Saints have the 9th pick. Luke Johnson, of course, covers the team for the New Orleans Advocate, NOLA.com. He's on Twitter at @LukeJohnson with Hunt every Thursday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Luke, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the draft, man.
Sounds good, man. I'm glad I didn't have to have Hunt talk to me about the Cubs.
Hey, they're beating the Dodgers left and right these days. I mean,
know.
Things are good in Wrigleyville. Yeah.
Yes, I was way more enjoying life when I thought Craig Counsell was a Brewers spy.
Plenty of people from Milwaukee were. Luke, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. That is Luke Johnson. Of course. Great. Come back on the other side. LSU and Tennessee on Friday night, 6:30 first pitch. We'll talk a little bit of LSU baseball, kind of set the stage for the weekend. Where does LSU stand in the top 8 national seed race? We'll tell you that next here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 Jeep Compass Sport for only $23,995. $23,995 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only Genesis, fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. And all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Back here on the Hunt Palmer Show, Musso in for Hunt. LSU is going to play Tennessee in baseball this weekend at Alex Box Stadium. And man, this is the one that everybody's had circled on the schedule since it came out. For all the reasons that you know. I mean, I don't need to get into, the budding rivalry. I think you all understand that. And this series is so big for so many more reasons than just that. Namely, the postseason. LSU got off to a fantastic start. Through the first, the first 15 games, first half. Right now, you're 12-6. You're still pacing for 20-10. But this next stretch that you're going to enter, then a trip to A&M, and then Arkansas at home. We started talking about this on Musso at the Box when we did the weekend recap for the Bama series. This stretch will determine postseason baseball and for how long they're playing it at that location. And what everybody wants, obviously, and I mean everybody, I don't just mean the fans, I mean Jay Johnson, his staff, the players, what everybody wants. In order to do that, you have to secure the top 8 national seed. So where does LSU stand in that race? And what do they need to do to lock in right here? Because, look, it's easy to look at the product you've seen on the field from LSU the last 2 weekends in conference play, and it hasn't been great. There's no way around that. You've had struggles on the mound. You're now searching for a third starter. The last 6 SEC games, you've hit 172 with runners in scoring position. You're averaging 4.5 runs per game. In the last 2 weekends, you've struck out a lot of that with runners at third and less than 2 out, which so there's really no shying away from the stretch. Good luck. But what there's also no shying away from is they're 12-6. You've seen them play really high-level baseball against really good teams this year on multiple occasions. So where do they stand? Well, in order to talk about that and grasp on it, a firm grasp, I looked at the latest field of 64 projections from multiple outlets, as well as went back 5 years and looked to determine exactly what LSU needs to do, not just in this 3-week stretch with Tennessee, A&M, Arkansas, but the final 4 weeks of the regular season in totality. Tuesday afternoon released their latest field of 64. And you might say, yeah, what about the loss to Northwestern State on Tuesday? Well, Baseball America released their field of 64 projection on Wednesday morning. The number 3 overall national seed firmly in. Your RPI is you're 1 spot behind Tennessee, who's in these seed projections. And if you beat them 2 out of 3 this weekend, your RPI will only climb. And the same when you go on the road. LSU's going to win all 3 of those series? No, I don't. I don't think that is realistic to believe. Is it realistic to believe that LSU, because of that, wins their Final Four? No, I don't believe that's realistic. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. It's baseball. Is it realistic? No. You already can see they're firmly in. Projected as of now. The games still have to happen. But the last 5 years paint a much clearer picture. And I only went back 5. I could have gone back further. I only went back 5 because after that, it was like, yeah, okay, the picture's clear. Like it's not, you're not going to get anything new going back to, 2018 and 2017 and it is what it is. The last 5 years, the SEC has had 19 total top 8 national seeds. Of those 19, 13 of them had 20 or more wins. Right in line with what we always say, 20 and 10. Now, there are some outliers in that. A year ago, both Tennessee and Kentucky were 22 and 8. Of course, Tennessee in 2022 is 25 and 5. Vanderbilt in 2019 had 23 wins. Arkansas had 22 and 21. Those are your outliers. The rest were at 20 and 10. Top 8 seeds. 5 of them had 19. A year ago at 19 and 11. LSU and Vanderbilt both in 2023 at 19 and 10 and 19 and 11 respectively. Vanderbilt in 2021 at 19 and 10. The only reason you didn't have one in 2019 is because after you got through Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, and State, who all had 20 or more wins, the next closest was LSU at 17. We're in a pretty good spot. The last 4 years, there's been at least one SEC team be a national seed with 19 wins. And you could ask, well, there's more teams in the league. How does that change the selection process? And that's a very good question. And that's a question we won't truly know the answer to until Selection Monday on Memorial Day. But where I is just the overall number of teams that you get in. If anything, that strengthened the league and is only going to strengthen the record of 19 and 11. Because there's an outlier. And it's a big outlier. And I don't think it's realistic to believe LSU can get there with this total. But if that's 18, there's one team left. How many wins did they have? Well, that was Georgia a year ago who got in top 8. So there's precedent there. Do I think that's in the cards for LSU? No. If LSU finishes with 17 conference wins, they're not going to be a top 8. And they'll be on the fringe of hosting a regional. You would have just lost too many picks. Georgia, a year ago, was on an 8-game conference winning streak before they headed into the final conference weekend. And that was against Florida. Lost 2 out of 3. And then went to the SEC tournament and lost to LSU in their opener. But that 8-game stretch had done knocking on the door of being able to get to 19. Ultimately, it didn't happen. But again, that stretch was enough. And the committee's is an outlier. And I found it very interesting and worth noting. So what does LSU need to do? I've already told y'all, 20 and 10, you're locked. Put you at 6 and 4. Down the stretch. Which all you have to do for that is go 5 and 4 down the stretch. The way I look at it, you really need to win your home series. You really need to win the series against a bear. Nobody wants to see that team right now. They're going to have revenge on their mind against you because you knocked them off and did it pretty unceremoniously. Which you're going to, that's going to put you at 14-7. Let's say you beat Arkansas 2 out of 3 at home. That would have to A&M, but you take 1. You're sitting there at 17-10. Then you go to South Carolina, who is not a good team. Able to win 2 out of 3 there at minimum, and that would put you at 19-11. Five and 4, you want to go 6-4. You want to get that, hell, you want to win them all. But you got off to such a good start that 5 and 4 is very doable. In order to do that, you have to home. I'm not asking you to go out there and hit 350, 400 with runners in scoring position against Tennessee because, quite frankly, I don't think that's in the cards. Runs are going to be at a premium this weekend at the box. But, man, when you have a runner at third and less than 2 outs, he has to score this weekend. And from here on out. You have a chance to be aggressive on the base paths or with a squeeze bunt to get less than 2 outs, do it. Can somebody in the bullpen besides Zach Cowan and Kason Evans finally raise their hand and say, I'm the guy that's going to be consistent every time out there? Happen, and you revert back to some of the ball you played earlier this year when you were 31-3 and ranked number 1 in the country at one point this season. You're in a great spot right now. But these next 3 weeks and 4 weeks to an extent will tell the story. Right now, you're good. The other thing that I'll punctuate this segment with very quickly is the Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas. Texas is a lock. But Arkansas, they all have incredibly tough back halves of the SEC. So the math on this could change. Now, Arkansas still has to play Texas. They still have to play LSU and Tennessee. They have those 3 series in a row, their final 3 weeks. They're not going to win all those. Tennessee, they have a bear of a schedule as well. Vanderbilt, those 2 teams still have to play each other also. The math on this could change a little bit. But right now, before you enter the toughest stretch of your season, that's where you stand. You're in a really, really good spot. And now it comes down to your play and your execution, getting back to where it was earlier in the year. Get started on Friday night. We'll see. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll close out hour number 1 of the Hunt Palmer Show next here on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury. When that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Hour number one of the Hunt Palmer Show here on Draft Day. We do have some more changes to the odds already in the NFL Draft. We'll get you kind of a roundup of that here in the next hour. Actually, to start next hour, Chris Blair when we chat with the voice of the Tigers here in hour number two. We haven't even talked about the LSU guys in the draft, so we'll do that a little bit with Chris Blair, and I have some thoughts as well. I mean, Will Campbell's set to make history. Boy, that would make a lot of history if Will Campbell somehow went in the MLB draft. But I mean, it bears its own like segment in time to really talk about that. So we'll do that a little bit later on in the show. Also, while we have a few minutes, right here to close out hour number. Did want to pass this along. There's just more pressing issues here on this Thursday. But yesterday on Wednesday, the judge released an order in the House chair and whatnot, and didn't approve it. She didn't deny it either. What she said is she wanted a change in the roster because as you might imagine, it's going to take spots away from current athletes at schools. You're already seeing that happening. Like, you're already seeing teams cut it. And if they couldn't the House settlement, which would send this to trial. That being said, this will eventually be rectified. And what you're going to see more likely than not is the NCAA waive roster limits and allow schools and teams and programs to figure that out on their own. Much like you're seeing in college basketball, where you're around the country not go to 15. That was your limit, right? You're seeing teams settle in under that number so they can pay certain players more, so they can pay their guys more, allocate the revenue sharing more. And that's to some cuts eventually, yes, but it won't be so stringent that it's under the roster limit, which is ultimately what she's trying to get done away with. And I fully agree with that. We'll see what happens. Hour number 2.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Bayou Ford is taking 15 to 20% off all new 2024 models in stock. 15 to 20% off all new 2024 Ford models on our lot. Plus the complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner and for a weekend warrior. Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana, geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle. Comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the mind.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, cool, crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
The extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work. Connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance, with the latest in office technology, from desktop to production. 756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law office 343-1111, your law firm for a lifetime. Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the 2025 or 2025 Jeep Compass with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles.
The NFL Draft begins tonight. I'm Chris Smith. Miami quarterback Cam Ward entered Thursday as a minus 20,000 favorite to be the top pick by the Tennessee Titans per ESPN Bet. And ESPN
is no, but it's possible. Like, they have some talent there, particularly on defense. They're in a division that has Houston and not much else. And I would say that it's not as rare as you would think because, like, we had C.J. Stroud do it not too long ago. Jaden
58 passing touchdowns. Their draft kicks off 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, 8 Eastern on ESPN ABC, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. In the college ranks, 4-star Oregon offensive tackle Cody Green, the number 37 recruit. Sources told ESPN's Eli Letterman. On to the NBA, where the Bucks and general manager John Horst have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. Sources told ESPN Shams Charania. The Bucks have made the playoffs in all 8.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Friday, I'll give you my draft. It's unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Off and running, hour number 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show here on Draft Day. Musso in for Hunt, Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali, they're along for the ride, and we're happy to have you along for our final hour here before we hand you off. First hour, talking a lot of NFL draft, did mix some LSU baseball in there as well. Second hour, Tigers is with us in about, call it 12 minutes. Chris's thoughts on the LSU guys as they prepare to take their next step in their careers with the NFL draft tonight and, of course, over the next 3 days. So we'll do that here. And again, about to kind of reset a little bit of the draft conversation here, though, if you are just hopping in the car or just already, please. So we led the show today talking how the odds had surged for Dart to the Saints, even at pick number 9. Have to get, is it, are they able to do that at 32 still, or is it more in the 20s that they would have to do so? Well, as is with the draft, it's just very fluid, and we've got odds shifts again that I did want to pass along. Jackson Dart closing the gap over at DraftKings for the number 9 overall pick. When we spoke about this in the first hour, Mykel Williams was the favorite at plus 275. Jackson the pack a little bit, and Jackson Dart has moved up even more. Mykel Williams now at plus 280, still the favorite, but Dart closing that gap at plus 300, so just 3-1. Again, I'll make a not so bold prediction. By the time the Tennessee Titans go on the clock tonight, Jackson Dart will be. But there's one more that I wanted to update that is incredibly interesting. And that is player drafted by odds. Namely, the team that has the best odds or is the favorite to draft a certain player. And when you scroll to Jackson Dart, the New York Giants are the favorite to select Jackson Dart at minus 135. If you're curious, yes, the New Orleans Saints are next at plus 250. And how it would impact New Orleans. Because everybody looks at the Giants and at the Browns as your biggest competition for a quarterback. You'd have to get back in front of those teams. Jackson Dart at number 3. I don't think they're doing that. I think that's too early. But if they really wanted to shake it up, they could do that. But it certainly feels like the Giants are in the same boat as the Saints, looking to trade back into round 1 to take Jackson Dart. I told y'all in the first segment, what I want the Saints to do is go pick the player they're most convicted in. I don't have to agree with the selection. Do I think they should take Jackson Dart at 9? No, I don't think that's what they should do. Convicted about the pick, then go make the pick. And you don't want to risk losing him later in the first round, then go make the pick. Have more of an inside track to trade back into the first round and get ahead of back in the first round as well. And that's the one thing I look trade back. And again, Adam Schefter had the report earlier in the week that both the Giants and the Browns were fielding calls for the number 2 and number 3 picks respectively. But if the Giants trade back, that's when I think they absolutely. That's to me, that's the only reason they would trade back. You got Abdul Carter pretty much. But there are a lot of teams later in this first round that would salivate at the opportunity to draft Abdul Carter, the best defensive player in the 2025 draft. So if you see the Giants move back, that's quarterback. And if you believe the odds, it's Jackson Dart. And very high on him and would like to draft him also. For what it's worth, those odds as well can also really drive home a report that we talked about earlier in the show in the first hour. And that was from CBS Sports, and that was from Aditi. See if I don't screw this up. Aditi Kinkabwala. This is what she said on the CBS Sports Network earlier on Thursday.
What I'm being told is that Jackson Dart is not going to fall beyond that number 9 pick and the Saints. Somebody could potentially go above the Saints to try to go get him, but that's not what I'm hearing right now, that is a pick that Kellen Moore really likes.
If you were looking at somebody that might go above the Saints, that's where you might look at a team like Pittsburgh. I don't think the Giants would trade back to go to, like, say, 8 with the Panthers or whatnot. Because if they wanted to take Jackson Dart and that's what they were doing to take him, then you could have just taken him at 3. And in that scenario, you wouldn't be drafting Abdul Carter anyway because you would have traded back in the draft. So, I mean, I think you really look at a team like the Steelers in that regard if somebody were to jump in front of the Saints. But past 9, at least by that report. Again, there's conflicting reports. Certainly you look at it and you say, okay, the Giants is the favorite to take him, and then his odds for draft position are still off the board over at DraftKings. That was at 24.5 right before I walked in the studio to do this show. But I hear everybody always talking about this quarterback draft class. And I'm with you. I don't think it's very good either. We had Luke Johnson on. He was talking about, I can't get behind really one of these guys at 9. Or there's a lot of them I can't really get behind in the first round, is kind of what Luke was telling us. Mickey Loomis, when he met with the media on Wednesday, this is number 14, Beck, he didn't give a great answer, but the end of it did strike.
I don't know if the quantity is the same as some other years, but that goes up and down, you know. And look, one thing about that position, I think that you fall in love with somebody, and I think each of our teams, sometimes that's a different guy.
You fall in love with somebody. That's what you hear in the draft all the time. It's definitely what you hear about quarterbacks. If you love the guy, go get the guy. Take the guy. Again, that's all I want them to do is just be convicted and love who they're going to take and take them. Make the pick. But it was the end of that where he said, and sometimes on our team, that's a different guy for everybody. And I do wonder with all the work that the New Orleans Saints have done on quarterbacks this season, this draft cycle, if that falls two different ways. Where, man, they've done all this work, they're in lockstep, they sat down, they talked it out, they know who they like from a quarterback perspective. Or if you do have, it should be Kellen Moore. He's the coach, and it's going to be his quarterback. But that end of that, where it was, and on our team, sometimes that's a different guy for different people. It does cast a little bit of doubt. And maybe, again, Mickey's just playing coy because he doesn't want to tip the hand, and that's fine. The other thing I did want to play was number 25 back. Mickey Loomis was asked point blank.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to answer that question because that'll just lead to a bunch of speculation, whichever way I answer it.
I mean, he's not wrong. This is what I'll say. Your franchise quarterback is not on the roster for the New Orleans Saints. I think we all realize that. Will it happen tonight? Round one of the draft? We'll see. The odds for Jackson Dart to New Orleans continue to surge, but also for the New York Giants as well. It's going to be fascinating, very entertaining to watch how New Orleans handles things tonight. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, joins the show in his weekly spot. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Whenever I say remodel, you might think, oh, that's a huge project, going to cost a fortune, going to take forever, have to leave my home. Well, that stuff can happen, but that's not really what we're talking about here. To further that point, let's just talk about something simple like a tub to shower conversion. That's not massively expensive. That's not super invasive. That's not super time consuming. It's a simple process that can be done if your bathtub is not used, if it's old and dingy, if it's not functional. You take that bathtub out, put in a glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. And David Duvall and his team can help you with it every step of the way. They handle everything. You don't call him and then call the guy to handle this part, and this guy handles the floor. And one contractor, one call. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation and get that process started today. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online. onebathandclosets.com.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined we in the nation.
Baton Rouge is home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Looking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
Years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could. They've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got lucky.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Ram, be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Back here on the Hunt Palmer Show, Musso in for Hunt. LSU and Tennessee, they'll do battle at the box this weekend, kicking off a rather pivotal stretch for Jay Johnson and his Tigers over the next 3 to 4 weeks as they close out the regular season and conference play. Voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, he'll be on the call for all of it. He joins us now, of course, on Twitter at LSU Tigers Voice. Chris, it's great to chat outside of Eagle Game Day. How are you?
Hey, Musso, I'm good, man. And did I see Hunt went on vacation the week of the Tennessee LSU series?
You did, Chris. And look, I asked him the same question late last week. I said, I'm sorry, are you going to be at the beach for LSU Tennessee? He goes, no, I'll be back. I'll be back in time for the game on Friday. I was like, okay, I just had to check.
Oh, okay.
I had to check. But I was the same way. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, come on, man.
I was thinking that's like the friend that schedules a wedding in the fall. Like, what? He didn't know any better than that?
Exactly.
But, okay. That's good.
We only get the schedule about a year in advance, you know. I mean, you can circle
Right.
which ones you want to be at. I want to start with the Tigers and the Vols, but more broad because, look, since Tony Vitello took over as the head coach of Tennessee, everybody looks at it as the next budding rivalry in the SEC. You've been on the call for all the matchups between Tony Vitello and the LSU baseball team.
No, I think it's a great point. I mean, I was talking to John Wilkerson, who does Tennessee baseball and has for 36, 37 years. And, you know, it's interesting because I think as opposed to football and even men's basketball, women's basketball, and for that matter, any sport, I think SEC baseball and maybe college baseball in general, you're going to have several top of mind. You know, you got your long-standing rivalries, Mississippi State and LSU. You got an Ole Miss and LSU rivalry that kind of heated up a little bit more when Coach Bianco took over. And I think, as you said, the newest one that is at a fever pitch is LSU and Tennessee. And that really started, you know, when Tony got there. And obviously Jay has kept 4 seasons, you know, of what's been on the line and when they've played, whether it's in the regular season or in, you know, Hoover in the SEC tournament or even, you know,
yeah.
You know, I mean, I think it's one of those rivalries that has risen so fast that I've got friends from South Carolina who scheduled their trip to go offshore fishing, and they're coming to Friday's game, and they're just college baseball fans. And I think you're going to see a lot of people across the country that, again, regardless of what team or conference they're affiliated with, I mean, I think that's where this Tennessee LSU series has kind of taken off. And I think you're exactly right. I think it is, you know, one of the big rivalries now. And that's kind of why I like SEC baseball. I mean, you know, you can go through the list when the schedule comes out and goes, you know, these are the ones we want to go see. But, yeah, Tennessee and LSU for college baseball I think is must see.
Before we get into the games a little bit, just kind of another big picture. I mean, the last time Tennessee was at the box was 2023 and packed in over 13,000 for Skeens Dolander on a Thursday night. I mean, I would assume LSU and they're preparing the box for something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, we saw the announcements yesterday of over 35,000 there for LSU Alabama through those 3 games. And I don't know this, but my sense is we'll probably get another graphic early next week, because I think this one, for LSU fans who, don't have season tickets or maybe don't go to every game, Tennessee fans are going to travel. And I will give them credit for that. They're kind of a Johnny-come-lately when it comes to baseball, over the last 10, 20 years. But quite the powder keg, starting on Friday. And that's what's exciting about it.
I mean, I know I'm looking forward to it. I'll be out there all 3 days for sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's going to take place on the field. I don't even really want to go back to Tuesday night because I don't think that's really – it's in the past. That's 2 days old. The focus is on Tennessee now. When you look back at LSU, though, the last 6 games in conference play, what is something that you pinpoint and say, okay, that first and foremost needs to improve in order to match the level of intensity with Tennessee this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what everybody would say. I think the obvious glaring point is inconsistency out of the bullpen outside of Zach and Kaysen, obviously. And I think, I asked Jay last week if it was about, getting some of these guys that we saw take a couple of steps forward. The 2 Connors, obviously, I thought pitched well at Auburn, albeit in a horrible weekend. But they did what they were asked to do. Maverick Rizzi, what he can do and, his talent. And even Jacob Myers. And I said, is it a matter of being able to get those guys to be able to go 2 innings or more or 3 innings or more, kind of middle relief? And, Jay had a good answer. He was like, no, that's not necessarily. He said, we'll take that. That's great. We're just asking them to go in, and whether it's get 1 out, pitch an inning, whatever it is, SEC or midweek, we just want them to go out and do what, they can do effectively. And that's been the issue, is that you get a performance like I thought from Jacob Myers in that loss to Auburn in game 1, and then suddenly now you can heave it up there at 98, but you can't find the strike zone. So I think that's number one. I mean, I think, you're going to need to make a strong run. I think at minimum, you're going to need, at minimum, 7 solid pitchers. If you have any dreams about, getting to Omaha and staying for nearly 2 weeks again. 8 or 9 would be better, but maybe that's a little greedy. But I think right now you don't have faith that you have 7 guys. And then secondly, I think is runners in scoring position. I mean, this was an offense that I don't think any of us were really worried about. And I know some of that's because we weren't playing SEC teams every weekend for the first month plus. But here over the last 2 weekends, it's been concerning. I mean, it's good you win 2 out of 3 from Alabama, but I still think when you need runs, against Auburn, it was a matter of can we get anybody on? And that seemed to be a struggle because they kind of sprayed all of their hits over those 3 games. But once you get guys on, how are we getting them over and getting them in? And that, to me, is something that has just recently occurred that's got to be improved. And I think Friday night's game, runs may come at a premium with Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle. But when they're on, you got to find a way to convert. And I think that's been missing. Do I think it's a major problem? Not really, because we've seen them do it. I just think they're kind of in a slide. But as you pointed out just moments ago, I mean, this next several weeks, you have on the table becomes even tighter.
Yeah, postseason implication in seeding is, at the forefront of just about any conversation when you look at the next 3 weeks specifically for LSU. And to your point, with the runners in scoring position, that's been a struggle for them here as of late. And I'm curious to see if they're a little bit more aggressive in that realm. The other big change that we saw in the Alabama series was Game 3 starter. And Chase Shores coming out of the bullpen after was announced, pre-series as the starter for that game. This weekend, actually today, when Jay met with the media, announced TBA for Game 3. Do you have a feel or how you might think they may go about that come
that just with the conversation I had with Jay Monday. We talked a little bit about the decision-making going into this past weekend. And the way it was answered kind of led me to believe that I think that same thought process. I don't know. Again, I'm not speculating they have the answer and they're not sharing it. I just think they'll go through me all that much. When it comes to what's my best guess come Sunday at 2:00, I'll be honest with you, Musso. I don't really know. Because I thought you go with Connor Ware on Sunday, on Saturday, and then Chase was expected. Now, we saw Chase get up and throw on Friday night late in that game. And so that was my first indication that, well, maybe he's going to, go to a reliever-type mode. And then my thought was, okay, if Connor Ware comes out, gets you off to a good start, which I thought overall he did, then you could come in with Chase and, then all of a sudden you could probably have a pretty good pitcher get you through to like the 6th or 7th and then boom, hand it over if you've got a lead. And obviously it didn't work out that way. So now when you say, who do you think will be the guy who gets it started on Sunday this weekend, I'm not real sure. And some of that I give credit to this coaching staff because not only are they analyzing Tennessee's season and scouting them going into game one, there'll be, real-time scouting as we get through game one and game two. So I think that also will bear on the decision. But I could just pick a name, but I would have no idea who I think they'll go with.
It's going to be fascinating, especially going forward. I mean, it looked like you had that rotation kind of in lockstep, and now here you are in late April, and it's, that's not when you really want to see the change. But they got plenty of arms and are plenty talented enough to figure that out. Chris Blair, of course, he'll be on the call this weekend for all 3 games with former Tiger Doug Thompson. Chris, before I let you go, though, I would love a thought on tonight's NFL draft getting underway and the LSU guys. I mean, that you've seen excel in a Tiger football uniform. Will Campbell, Mason Taylor, obviously Swenson and Jones, and plenty more. I mean, I think everyone's looking like 6, probably definitely going to have their name called over the next 3 days. Could slip in at the back end of this draft and surprise some people.
No, I think so. I mean, I think it's a pretty good group of guys that are, put their name into the draft coming out of LSU, and they've all had, I think, really big impacts on the programs, both short-term and long-term. And, to me, Will's the kind of guy that it's always funny because if you pay attention to X and social media, when you start to hearing unnamed source, anonymous assistant coach says. And I know with Will, it's been about arm length and all this other stuff. But again, I think a lot of that is gamemanship, just trying to throw off the scent of what they're going to do. I mean, everybody's trying to nail down who's going to take who. But I think LSU is putting another great crop of is that he's already carbon copied, ready to go, insert him into an offense and let him be kind of that possession tight end receiver for you. And I think that's traditional blocking tight end, although I think Mason certainly has worked on that. But I think a sure-handed receiver across the middle of the field is with his skills is going to put him far well. And I think there's a number of defensive guys. I mean, I think when all is said and done for the opening day, as far as who goes that first day, that maybe 3 months ago, 6 months ago, we weren't sure about. And, that, again, just goes to pull into the pros. And, more times than not, they have successful careers. And I think deep down inside, all of these front offices know that. And I don't think it'll be any different in 2025.
The surprises are what makes the draft so much fun and so entertaining to follow over the next 3 days. Chris Blair, he's the voice of the Tigers. All 3 with LSU against Tennessee this weekend with Doug Thompson. Y'all tune in. Chris, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, Musso, see you at the box.
Absolutely. Again, that is Chris Blair. We're going to grab a break. We'll come back on the Hunt Palmer Show, and we'll kind of delve a little bit deeper into that about the LSU guys. Will Campbell, when the Patriots go on the clock at 4 tonight, he's going to make LSU. But it deserves a little bit more recognition. And just how much has Mason Taylor risen on draft boards? We'll give you a preview of the LSU guys in the NFL draft next here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Crime has serious consequences, but know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of 31111, your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Celebrate the NFL draft in style with the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party live from Don Juan Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Join us tonight at 7 p.m. and hang with the ESPN Baton Rouge team while indulging in the finest cigars paired with signature cocktails. It's the 104.5 ESPN Draft Party, all happening at Don Juan Cigar Bar and live on 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
Y'all get over to Don Juan tonight. That is going to be a blast. It always is. I will tell you, the draft companion show party Steel is my favorite like remote event that we do every year. It's a lot of fun. It's our whole lineup, getting on the mic at different times. I mean,
2 words: Island Hanny.
Island Hanny.
That's all you need to know.
I mean, Otter sitting there losing his mind after the Vikings drafted Lewis Sign one year because it cashed a ticket for him. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Y'all going tonight?
No, I'm actually heading out of town tonight, so will not be there.
That's right, you're not
would.
here tomorrow.
Yeah, I would be there though, but not tonight.
I know you're not going.
No, Cassie's going to be there. She's going to be analyzing.
Cassie's getting on the mic.
Yeah.
We're going to put Cassie on the mic tonight
Yeah.
at Don Juan. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, y'all go ahead. Y'all get by Don Juan Cigar Bar tonight for the start of the draft and go hang out. Man, I know Scone will be there. Rivers, T-Bob. It's a lot. Hanny and Ott will be there. If Hanny's not in a Hawaiian shirt, y'all give him hell for that. But that should be a phenomenal time. It is every single year. All right. Speaking of the draft, we've gone through an hour and a half of this show, and we haven't talked really about the LSU guys. We talked a little bit about it with Chris Blair there in the last segment, but I kind of wanted to broaden the conversation as well, because starting with Will Campbell at number 4, he's going to make history. And, you know, for all the talk and about his arm length and the debate and whatnot, you can have all those conversations throughout the lead up to the draft. And whenever you get to this point in the process, it's always like, okay, man, tape don't lie. Turn on the tape and watch. And that's clearly what Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots have done. Will Campbell right now is minus 500 to be the number 4 overall pick. He is going to the New England Patriots. He will be there to protect Drake May's blindside. And when he goes 4th overall, Will Campbell will become just the 2nd offensive lineman in LSU in 1998. And Will Campbell will be the first tackle from LSU ever selected in the first round. And y'all, that's a big yo. Like, when you look back at Will Campbell's career at LSU, and we'll have plenty of time to do this as well on tomorrow's show, but this is just the feather in the cap that solidifies him as the best to come out of LSU ever. That's a guy who day one started at left tackle for you, protected the blind side of a Heisman Trophy winner, and then Garrett Nussmeier as well, when Nussmeier put up the 2nd highest single-season passing total in LSU history. A lot of that, in large part, is due to having Will Campbell on your line, keeping those guys clean. From day one, to start as a freshman at a position like left tackle, and not only start, but have the success that Will Campbell had. In his entire 3-year career at LSU, 3 sacks given up. And when you look at who some of those guys were he gave up sacks to, Jared Verse. That guy's in the league. He's pretty darn good. Kyle Kennard, he's going to hear his name called over the next 3 days. Any words you try to put behind it, any quantifiers you try to add, I just keep coming back to he's the best. He's the best one. And he's going to leave behind hella big shoes to fill. But man, at a place like LSU, where you've had so many great players over the course of 125 years plus of football, you're nearing 135 years. Guy to come in and rewrite the history standard like Will Campbell did, that's awesome. And it all comes to a head tonight when the Patriots go on the clock at number 4. And, man, that's going to be a really, really cool moment. And LSU's had a lot of those in the first round. Joe Burrow going 1 overall to the Bengals and, coming off the season that he had in the Heisman Trophy, the National Championship. And, I mean, look, he's the best. He's the GOAT. Whether it was Jaden Daniels last year, Jamar Chase the year before that, you had guys who came in and rewrote the standard, reset the standard at LSU for their positions. You have another one Thursday night in Will Campbell. Can't wait to see history happen when the New England Patriots turn in their draft card at pick number 4. Congratulations are in order in advance to Will Campbell. This is the punctuation of a phenomenal LSU career, which when it comes to offensive linemen and tackle in particular, we will always look back and compare it to. That will be Will Campbell. After Will Campbell goes is where you look at the storyline for LSU that's starting to evolve, and that's Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor is really that next guy who could sneak in at the back end of the first round and give LSU 2 when a lot of people think it's just going to be 1. You could find plenty of mock drafts out there here on draft day on Thursday where you see Taylor slide in late. If he doesn't, he will be a very early day 2 pick in that second round. Like 100%. But with Mason Taylor, you have something very similar with Will Campbell. And that's, again, why I really wanted to focus mainly on those two guys. Mason Taylor's the same way. He came to LSU and he reset the standard at tight end. He broke records. And while the tight end position at LSU has been very undervalued in the past, and you've seen guys even fight through it being undervalued and put up numbers like, Richard Dixon, like Thad Moss, guys in that, in the most recent history of LSU, Mason Taylor outshined them all. And in the same vein where Will Campbell stepped on the field as a freshman and made a statement, Mason Taylor did the same thing in early November of 2022 when LSU beat Alabama in Tiger Stadium. Everyone's going to remember the catch to win it in overtime. How about the catch to take the lead in the fourth quarter, 24-21, in the north end zone corner? You don't set a bigger standard for your career and make a bigger statement than that. As a freshman, he did it, and he lived up to all of it, leaving LSU as leader in receptions career and in yards by a tight end. And look, you have a bright future of that position with Trey'Dez Green. You got Bauer Sharp for a year. You've recruited well there. And when all of those guys don the purple and gold, put on the pad, strap the helmet, they go out there, they will all be compared to Mason Taylor. That is the one thing I am rooting for most of all in the draft on Thursday night, is for Mason Taylor to find his way into the back end of the first round, much like Clyde did in the 2020 draft to the Chiefs. Because he's earned it, and it would be a very fitting reward, and again, a fitting way for him to punctuate his LSU career, just like we talked about Will Campbell. But when both of those guys inevitably go, celebration for the LSU football program and a great crescendo for those guys' career. Outside of that, I'll tell you the guys I'm really curious to see are kind of first and foremost where Emory Jones and Miles Frazier land. I'm intrigued by that as well, but I think that's likely day 2, day 3. With Jones and this station throughout the draft process, especially with Swenson, who have wondered if he won't, really force his way up. Whether that be early day 2 or LSU is fascinating to me because you'll remember when he got to LSU and transferred in from Oregon, he wasn't the headliner at the edge spot. A lot of people thought that was going to be Ovie Ogofu. Right? The shoes of B.J. Ojulari, who was off to the draft and kind of take up the mantle. And ultimately, that was a tough spot for you. Towards the end, Swenson became your best pass rusher. He didn't get home a lot, but he led your team in QB pressures. And then in 2024, he was on historic pace. He was on pace to match Arden Key early in the year in sacks for a single season at LSU. That waned a little bit, but from a guy who wasn't very heralded transferring in from Oregon, he became your best pass rusher. And I think he falls into that category of steal. As is a guy like Savion Jones. As is a guy like Emory Jones and Miles Frazier. And even Garrett Dellinger. Any of the guys outside of Campbell and Taylor fall into potential steal and value pick for an NFL franchise. Because the one thing you know about all those guys, they're going to go in there, they're going to work harder than anybody else. They're going to leave it all out there on the field. Because it's what they did in their time at LSU. When it wasn't always the best when it came to a win-loss record. I'm fired up to see all of those guys start the next step in their career. And then, man, look. A guy like Josh Williams, who had a fantastic pro day, someone take a flyer on him late in the second round? Excuse me, late in the 7th round? That's something to watch on day 3. Zy Alexander played some really good football. Where does he fall into this category? It's going to be fascinating. Get their LSU career and kind of get their reward here over the next 3 days of the NFL draft. We'll keep you covered on with all of it here on 105 ESPN, especially on the Hunt Palmer Show. That'll be a big part of the show tomorrow, is recapping the LSU guys and previewing their days 2 and 3 in the NFL draft. All right, we're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side of that break. We'll wrap up the Hunt Palmer Show here on Draft Day next. Stay here.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana, and they're right here in Baton Rouge. I told y'all earlier this week, we were driving, my wife goes, oh, that's that car I really like. It's a Genesis. And she had no idea that I even do this. I was like, yeah, they're really nice. They're really, really nice. And you should know it too. You don't see a ton of Genesis on the road because it's fairly new to our city here. They've only been at that location for a year and a half, but go check it out. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a luxury experience to be a Genesis driver. That means 3 years of complimentary maintenance, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's a luxury experience at a reasonable price over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, and all of them, every single model, from the entry level to the highest end, come with the same safety features. Safety is a priority for Genesis. Go check them out. Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, Ice Cubes.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, wrap it up a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Do a little take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. Not Patrick from SpongeBob. That's fantastic. Beck, what you got for me?
All righty, the first one here. The Otter will hit on at least 2 bets tonight. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'm taking that. Otter's going to have a fantastic night. I mean, come on. Beck, what are we talking? It's the Otter.
I know. I'm just trying to gauge the room, get the pulse on the crowd here.
Over. I'll smash the over on 2 for Otter.
All right, next one here. T-Bob will have at least 4 mezcals. Take it or leave it.
Over. At Don Juan, I've seen that many a time, and it will be more than 4. Yes.
All right, next one here. The Saints will trade back into the first. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna take that.
I'll take it.
There's a lot of smoke there. It's just if they can get in front of the Giants. It really depends on what New York does, but I think this has kind of been the Saints' plan all along when it comes to quarterback, is to trade back in. So I will take that, even though the draft is incredibly unpredictable. But yes, I think they do trade back in.
All right, last one here. The Red Sox are down 2 in the bottom of the 7th. They will get the win. Take it or leave it.
Due up again until the 8th inning, and he's the only one that's driven in any runs today. He's got a solo homer. Oh, gosh, I'm doing the Hunt thing. When you always ask him about the Cubs at the end and he gets all pissed off.
Yeah, that's the point.
Bregman's got a double earlier in the game. No, I'm sorry, it was a single. Nobody else wants to drive in runs for the Boston Red Sox right now.
At least Trevor Story's hitting a little bit.
Trevor Story's hitting. I like his rookie season. Jaron Duran's been great out of the leadoff spot as normal. Devers finally isn't striking out every time he's at the plate. Wilyer Abreu's cooled down a little bit. I mean, he was on gangbusters to start the season. But you got to have somebody else besides Alex Bregman score drive-in runs.
You do.
Shout out to Breggs, though.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right.
But yes, that intro, that the Patrick was definitely something that I made sure we had to include in there.
Yeah.
I thought that was perfect for it.
Take it or leave it. I like the other one is the pirate and they're doing the wishes. Make it 5.
Yeah, make it
Make it 5.
Make it 3.
Yeah, it's
Take it or leave
it's
it.
so good. God, Patrick from SpongeBob, what a character! What a character, Patrick Star. All right, that's gonna wrap it up. 2 hours, man. That really, really flies by. Considering normally when I'm in the chair, it's a 3-hour show. 2 hours goes very quickly. Thank you to Beck. Thank you to Cassie. Whole gang back together on Friday. We're recapping the draft for the Saints perspective and the LSU, giving you a preview and our final thoughts on LSU and Tennessee. Matt Moscona coming up next from Lafayette, live with AFR.
The Hunt Palmer Show.